Between the time when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Arius, there was an age undreamed of. It is I, his chronicler, who alone can tell thee of his saga. Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Story. Since the dawn of humankind, stories have educated, entertained, and developed cultures, societies, and nations. From the earliest cave drawings to the printed novels and films of today, storytelling provides insight into the trials and tribulations of being human. Whether your preference is reality or fantasy, a good story will provide the recipient a powerful and often cathartic experience. What story or characters do you remember the most? A random group of individuals were selected and asked those very questions. Here are some of their responses. Talk about a time when you watched a story where you actually felt strongly like you experienced what the character in the story experienced. Note the character and the story.
So I recently watched Love Actually twice, and there's a character, I can't remember her name, but essentially she's in love with someone and she doesn't pursue the love because she's too occupied with her activities outside of that relationship, and so she lets the rest of her life get in the way of pursuing love, and I could completely relate to that.
I'd say my favorite movie of all time is Big Fish. I'd say, and it's a very enthralling story that you get swept up in it and you feel what he feels, you feel his joy, you feel his pain, you feel everybody else's kind of bittersweet joy when he passes away. I can't remember the name of the character himself, but it was played by Ewan McGregor in the movie, which is a fantastic movie.
Okay, I'm thinking about Ilsa in Casablanca, which is my all-time favorite movie. I could imagine what she must have felt like going to the station in Paris, okay, when they were supposed to be going away, and he never showed up and she left.
Talk about a time when you felt a personal sense of happiness, joy, or excitement when a character in the story experiences a triumph or a win.
The movie Rudy really gets me. You feel at the end when he finally plays football for Notre Dame and he finally gets to go on the field for 2 plays or 2 downs and he actually ends up making the sack. Like, that sense of accomplishment. Although it was just a sack, it didn't matter in the game, but it mattered to Rudy that he actually accomplished something that he was struggling for. Not for anybody else. It didn't make the news, I'm sure. It didn't matter, but the fact that he pulled it off for himself, yeah, I was able to connect with that.
The movie that comes to mind with that, it would be Devil Wears Prada, because I used to work for a company that was very much like that, where I was, always told what to do. I was on call 24 hours a day, and the character at the end in Devil Wears Prada, she was able to, even though she wanted to move up into the corporate world, she was able to walk away and felt happy about it.
Talk about a time when you cried because you were especially moved by a story you watched. Note the character and the story.
Well, this might sound kind of funny, but I like the movie Forrest Gump quite a bit. And I always get a little teary-eyed when it comes to the character Jenny in the movie. And an ongoing theme in the movie where she has suffered from her childhood traumas of child abuse and just the trouble and the turmoil that she goes through and the trouble and turmoil that she has being able to fall in love with a decent guy like Forrest Gump. And it just kind of always brings a little tear to me and evokes some emotion.
I think when I was a kid, my uncle took me to see E.T. in the movie theater. And that one I remember being, as a kid, I was like really, really sad that he got left behind, but it was happy and I cried at the end. That's actually probably one of the first movies I ever remember seeing in a movie theater. It just made me really happy when everything worked out for the best.
Name some characters in stories or film that you think are timeless, characters that people will remember for a long time to come. What do you think it is about these characters that makes them so attractive or interesting?
Well, Disney has done a really good job of taking already timeless tales and then editing them and making them fun and cartoony, and giving that to children is going to last forever. Like Snow White, Peter Pan, Captain Hook, Cinderella, like all of those are going to go down forever. And I think it's because some part of that story and that character touches on something fundamental that we all go through.
I think timeless characters are characters that are either tragic heroes or characters that have a significant moral contribution to contribute to society. Anyone who will tragically die for their cause, who will stand up. I know Red Dawn, they did a remake, and even though the remake wasn't that good, the concept was the patronage for young Americans to not give up no matter what. And his father said, you stand up and you fight even if you have to die for this cause.
Name some stories or films that you think are timeless. What kinds of stories do you think are timeless, and why?
I think stories of epic conflict that resolve with a happy ending will always be part of our society. Because we go through so much conflict day to day and we don't always get our own happy endings. When I use my books to be able to experience the happy endings of my characters, even though there are times in my life where the happy ending has been passed by.
Love stories. Love stories are timeless because we want to believe in spite. I think I have some kind of interesting insight into this because young women in this country, at least, grow up believing there's going to be some knight in shining armor, and for the most part, that doesn't happen.
When experiencing films and stories, are you more drawn to the adventures that contribute to your real life, or do you use film and stories primarily to escape the pressures of real life?
Oh, completely as an escape. I'd say I use it as a portal to get out of my life. I'd say not to say that my life is a terrible thing or anything like that, but I'm here every day. I'm here all day, every day. When I read a story or when I watch a movie, I want to be taken away from here. I want to be transported to somewhere new.
I think there's a little bit of both, but I feel that most stories have a bit of truth and most stories have a bit of fantasy. So there's really not a movie or a book that is pure reality or fantasy. I mainly read or watch movies to distract myself from reality, but I can't help but see tie-ins with my own life and what's actually occurring with the characters.
Do you have favorite films that you like to watch repeatedly? If so, what are your top 3, and what attributes of the films compel you to watch them many times over?
Films, as good as it gets. I enjoy the plot. It's an individual who's pretty much antisocial and overcomes many of his flaws, I guess, phobias, and then he makes a change because he wants to, not because he has to. Another film would be Braveheart, and that one is pretty much an individual who lost his family, and that's what I like about it. I guess a third one would be A Christmas Story, and The Christmas Story, I watch it over and over again, whether it be Christmas or not, and it's something that I believe that I didn't have when I was growing up, and can only imagine that's what it is like to have a good Christmas.
Again, Star Wars, just the whole good versus evil. It's just action-packed. It's a great movie. All 6 of them are great movies. Really big fan of the Indiana Jones trilogies. Just the whole going back into the past and seeing it from a different perspective definitely makes it interesting. Oh, Tombstone. It's about a reality. It's about something that really happened, and that movie's great. We've watched it like 500 times in the last probably year that we've had it. It's really good.
Is there any difference for you between watching films in theatrical releases versus TVs, monitors, PCs, or PDA devices in regards to the character experience.
I think for a theatrical experience, I like watching like the big adventure and sci-fi type films where the big screen really plays a part, you know. But for the comedies and things of that nature, I think I appreciate watching those at home where you can really bust out laughing and not be embarrassed about ruining your neighbor's experience. You know, you can really appreciate and enjoy the film like it hits you.
Oh, most definitely. When you're in the theater, it's all blacked out, everybody's quiet, you have a larger-than-life screen right there in front of you. It draws you in way more. You got surround sound. If things blow up over here, you hear it over here. If things blow up in front of you, you hear it in front of you. And the theater experience is getting better and better, too. I mean, they have ones where, like, the seats move when the character's going through stuff and so on and so forth. Yeah, so I can only see that getting even better at pulling you into the story.
I think if it's a good movie, it doesn't matter how you're watching it, you're going to get the point. I don't like commercials, nobody does, but I'll watch it either way because if I want to see the movie, I'm going to watch it no matter what.
I definitely think there's a difference. I feel more connected with the character if I watch it at home on TV. I can't watch movies on a phone or a PC. It's too small. And I think being in the theater, it's such a big screen, which is fine, but the fact that you're surrounded by total strangers, I kind of lose that connection with the character. For me, it's if I'm in my home environment where I'm comfortable, that's where I most connect with the characters.
I prefer to watch films on a big screen or a television. I've tried doing PDAs and computer screens, but they just seem too small for me. I just really can't seem to concentrate as well.
I'm not a moviegoer. That's more due to that I just not going to go sit in a place for 3 hours with a bunch of people and deal with the schedule. So I do watch almost all my movies on DVD. That's about the only vehicle that I do watch movies.
I think that when you watch a movie in a theater, you have an overall experience that you can remember that time in your life, whereas when I'm watching it on a TV monitor, it's less of an experience because it's less of a shared experience, but you end up having a more intimate reflection on what's occurring with the characters.
No, there's no difference. One is just the atmosphere. One is more public and the other one's more private, but there's nothing that changes for the character. I feel the same way, whether it be theatrical or on a smaller screen or TV or PC or your iPhone.
Honestly, I don't think there's any difference. I'll watch it however.
Between books and film, which medium do you feel provides you the best opportunity for personally experiencing what the character of the story experiences?
I would choose books over film.
For me, it's film.
Books. Hands down books.
I would definitely go with film.
It has to be books.
Movie would be better for me just because.
For character experiences, I think the book.
I'm a visual learner, so
I guess I would have to say I enjoy the film better.
I would say books.
Books or film, what is your preference? Regardless of the preferred medium chosen, it is obvious that story is about life, and each life is a story. What will be your story, and how will you choose to share it?